Hello, everybody. We are gathered here today to react to Alex O'Connor, a mythical ex-vegan turned, well, we're going to find out. I think carnist rights activist. That's what I think he turned into. But we'll see. Hello, Patrick.
Hello. So far, I don't think I'm online, so I'm just multitasking here.
As usual, technical difficulties. Christina, hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm excited to see what Alex has to say. Very curious.
Did you listen to it? No.
I have heard it before, so I'm pretending to be curious. I know what he's gonna say, but we're gonna hear it again and respond.
Yeah, I think we have things to say about this. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna try to be fair as usual and probably fail. So, Patrick, you are live streaming. That's awesome.
Am I online?
Yeah.
Okay.
All 3 streams are online. Guys, do us a favor. First of all, like, subscribe, hit something on your way to the chat. But also, if it's at all possible, please try to click the other 2 streams and mute them and hit something in there as well. Say something nice in the chat, in Christina's chat, in Patrick's chat, in my chat, please. All right, people are gathering up. You watched it as well, Patrick, right?
No, I haven't watched it. I haven't really watched Cosmic Skeptic too much, apart from his ex-vegan video.
Yeah.
Actually. But yeah, someone's saying, yeah, why is the live stream starting in 28 days? Someone's asking me on my chat. I don't know, for some reason. Yeah, I said it to the wrong date.
Oh. Okay. Well, that happens to me a lot. So, it's a surprise stream. Surprise. All right. Shall we begin? Patrick, your internet is a little shit. Yeah, there's nothing to be scared of. But if you have a way to, I don't know, do something about it.
So, what, am I lagging?
Yeah, quite a bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I cannot really do anything apart from disconnect and connect my...
Oh, don't do that. Okay, Patrick is going to be with us a little bit in a laggy way, and then in spirit and in wise words. But the picture is going to lag sometimes. All right. So shall we begin? Guys?
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Skeptic, welcome back. Right, before we talk about all the serious stuff we want to talk about, we wanted to sit you down.
Because veganism is not serious.
Eating meat.
Yes.
And you ruined our producer.
That's right.
He stopped eating meat.
Yes.
Right, we had to fire him. And he's not been the same since. We still
so fucking edgy. Oh my God.
Employ him in a different capacity, but he can't be our producer anymore, basically.
It's a real shame. I remember that was when you were still filming out of the comedy club.
Yes.
It's been quite a time since then.
Yes.
Yeah, I do occasionally. It's a little bit awkward. Of course, I had to do a sort of big, serious YouTube moment of saying that I'd not just changed my mind, but changed my lifestyle. And
What?
Christina, you sound like you want to say something.
Shut up. I can't. Like, he's like, I had to have a serious YouTube moment about I can't stand the like, it's so pretentious. I don't know. But also like what he just said, I just changed my lifestyle, didn't change my mind. He clearly did change his mind. Like that feels like very gaslighty to me. Because in his statement when he said he would start eating animal products again, he said that he is increasingly doubtful, I don't know what the phrasing was, about the effectiveness of an individual boycott. So it's not just that he had dietary issues and that he was struggling with his IBS, but it was also an ethical decision. So
Yeah,
I feel
he's-
I don't understand why he's saying it like this.
Yeah, I also remember in his video, which I saw like 2 or 3 times, he said that he did change his mind. So maybe I misremember.
Mm-hmm. It's not like he doesn't know what animal rights is. He clearly did know what it means as a philosophy. He's done several speeches about this, several videos on his channel when he was still vegan, and now he's acting like it. No blood on my hands.
Yep.
Basically, he says it's awkward. Awkward for who? For who? Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's awkward. It's like it's awkward. I started wearing clogs again or something like that. So I started wearing t-shirts instead of suits again. Like, no biggie. Just I'm back to doing the thing that I'm morally opposed in a significant way.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, you have anything to add to this rant?
No, let's keep on going. I'm
All right.
interested to see.
Occasionally get people coming up to me. I was at a sort of club party rave type thing, and someone came up to me, held up their Instagram on their phone, and they went, "Is this you?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Whoa, I'm vegan too." And I sort of had to, in that moment, usually when that happens these days, I have to have this sort of conversation where I say, "Well, listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate that you listen to what I'm saying and that it's affected you, but you should know that I made this announcement. I'm not vegan anymore." But in that moment, I just sort of had to go. You know, that was all I could muster.
I really can't imagine you at a rave.
Yeah. I mean, I
Do you keep your blazer on when you're at the rave, Alex?
you know, Chris always has a go at me for this. He always likes to tell the story of when I showed up for a boat party that he'd organized in a suit, because I'm sort of trying to live out the philosophy that there's no situation where you can't wear a jacket. Which I think
No, you're going to rapidly
Yeah.
discover that's not true.
I woke up
Yeah.
like this, you know. I actually sleep.
Yeah, that's a good point. A friend is asking in my chat, is he wearing real leather shoes?
Oh,
Is
I mean, you can
his
never
IBS
tell.
making you wear leather shoes?
I don't think
It's a
you
good
can
point.
say based on what the shoes look like, because vegan leather shoes look exactly the same, and also they could have been secondhand, which is a lot different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what he's God, what he's saying is like this example that he gives of someone walking up to him and being like, "Oh my God, I'm vegan too." Yeah, people look up to you. People have looked up to you for years. And you've let a lot of people down, and it's not just about disappointing people, it's about disappointing the animals that you have previously fought for, and now you're just like, I don't know. It's incredibly disappointing. And if he were still interested in fighting for the animals in different ways, like in terms of animal welfare issues, he could still do that.
Yeah.
But he isn't making any effort in any sense. He's just talking about it on a podcast for fun. So that bothers me.
Patrick.
I'll just add that you've got a video on like clothing, right? I quite enjoyed that video on your channel to do with whether vegans should wear clothes that look like animals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm really proud of that video as well. I think it's nuanced in a way that and we had some fighting in the comments. That's all right. But yeah, I do have a video about it. If anybody is interested, I don't remember what it's called though. It was a long time ago. Anyways, yeah, it's a good question, but the question it shall remain. There are several options that would make this not hypocritical, and there's one that would.
with the bow tie on, but I sort of take it off. so it's more
Take it
casual on
off. You,
camera,
you
yeah.
dress down for us.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you ruined our producer. He didn't eat meat for a while, right? It was tense. It was difficult. We've got him sorted out now. He's all right. He's got a girlfriend now. He makes him meat, so it's
Yeah.
all good, right? However, you stopped eating meat. You started eating. You stopped eating meat, and then you started eating meat.
Yes, I mean, look, it's it's one of the most sort of significant things that's happened in my channel's history, and it's an awkward terrain to navigate because you want to be open and you want to keep people sort of informed with what you're doing, but at the
Christina, do you want to say something? Because I see you gesturing.
I'm very expressive because this makes me
Alright.
physically uncomfortable.
Oh,
Just
okay.
the way that he says this is a significant moment in my channel's history, not my life or my ethical stances or whatever.
Oh, anyone's lives.
It's a difficult terrain to navigate, and I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like I know he knows better than this, and I like when I made my first response video to him, like last year when he announced this. My main point was like you know better than this. Like Alex has shown in his past videos, in the way that he talked about it, in the way that he handled himself, he knows better. I don't know why he's suddenly keeping himself to such a much lower standard, and it just shatters his credibility incredibly for me. Yeah.
same time, I didn't want to become in any way like an anti-vegan type guy. There's a bit of a pipeline that sometimes occurs when somebody isn't vegan anymore, especially if their entire thing has been veganism. You know, there's this perception amongst vegans that people like to cash in on it, and that suddenly you're going on, you know, you're going on Triggernometry and talking about how you're no longer a vegan. And the last thing I wanted and want to do is that, because I still think that factory farming in particular is perhaps the greatest moral emergency that we're facing. Everything that I've ever said about factory farming, I stand by, and I think.
It's always like, it seems like they're just saying this for me. It seems like they're just saying this to make themselves feel good, because a lot of times I see the people that mention factory farming, they just buy whatever.
Yeah. Well, didn't he become an ex-vegan so that when he's on tours or whatever, when he goes on speak somewhere, that he could actually go to a restaurant and eat whatever the fuck. Restaurants, you know, unless there's like a really esoteric weird place, they're buying the cheapest shit, aren't they? Like if you go into a fish and chip shop, whatever, it's cheap stuff. It's not wild caught salmon or whatever the fuck those ex-vegans are talking about, right?
Yeah. No, as well, like when he talked about because Joey Carbstrong has talked about how Alex has approached him asking like, would it be okay to eat animal products in France because it is hard to come by vegan options in restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I think Alex, he mentioned that he was in France for like a conference or like a professional thing. Those events are not usually in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like if you're in any city in France, you'll have vegan options. And if not, you can get an Airbnb and cook for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like I've been in France. I know how like it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
And it's just he just made himself allowances, and that was already like a red flag, I guess, when he was still vegan, like that the mindset of putting himself before the animals in terms of practicability, and just changing the goalposts, stuff like this. Yeah, and it's very disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, just pack a sandwich, man. Just pack a fucking sandwich with you. How hard is that? Jesus Christ.
Canned beans you have everywhere. Like just eat beans out of the can if you have to.
Yeah, supposedly when you have IBS, beans and shit, it's
Mhm.
it's a bit hard
Yeah.
on
Oh
the
yeah.
stomach.
So then, yeah, it would depend, I guess, on what his specific intolerance is, what triggers it. But because there can be different types of FODMAPs which can trigger for different people. But if yeah, maybe simple carbs then,
Yeah.
like bread.
I mean, supposedly, like every place on earth has Violife cheese now, don't we?
France
We have
does.
it fucking
France
everywhere.
does as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Have
like
what? Sorry.
Violife cheese, like Violife is I don't know,
A
it's like a
brand.
brand, yeah, a vegan cheese brand. It's not bad. It's great actually. I love the
Mhm.
cheddar stuff.
Okay, I don't know this one. But
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
Alex? I may have missed it. Did he say which animals he's eating right now?
No, in
Uh,
his first
yeah.
post he made about this, he talked about I think sea animals, sea creatures, like shellfish, maybe fish.
Yeah.
But he didn't say specifically which animal
Yeah.
products, and it might have changed already. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like in this interview, he will keep repeating like, "I'm still against factory farming," and like he even goes into like horrific detail, and like at that point, I'm just like, if you are against factory farming, like go protest against it, put it on your channel. Like even if
Yeah.
you're not vegan yourself, but if you actually believe in this, then fucking act like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, like
There's
if he
other
would
things you can
continue,
do. Yeah.
yeah, if he would continue to talk about this stuff with the same passion, I know he would get shit from us vegans, from most of us. I know. It's
Mhm.
we don't like hypocrites, but I would respect the fuck out of him more because of what he said, because of all the things he said. He said at first he didn't change his mind, and then he kind of said he did. But if he's so much against factory farming, every second video of his should be against factory farming, isn't it?
Yeah. He could be with Joey right now occupying a gas chamber in Cranswick.
Yeah.
But he's not there.
Yeah.
Or anything or something similar. I'm not saying he has to occupy a gas chamber, but it's just words. This is empty words to me.
Yeah, lip service, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what that the thing was made for, that expression.
Mhm.
Literal.
It's
Yeah,
still
we can't
true.
obviously
I
know.
still think
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say we cannot know for certain what someone's real motives are, but for me, just my personal feeling, when people just mention these words, it seems like it's just, as you said, lip service. But it's difficult to know what someone's true intentions are, unless you, yeah.
I mean, I believe him. I believe. I believe him all the time. When he was passionate about veganism, I believed him. Now that he's passionate about factory farming and welfare, I believe him. He's passionate about it. But man,
Mhm.
can you listen to yourself? Like advocating for against well, we'll come.
But-
We'll get in there. My memory is coming back.
Yeah. Because the thing
Oh,
is, like, the only place that he's spoken about this, like, being against factory farming is on other people's platforms since he came out as ex-vegan. So he's not, like,
Yeah.
actually spending any attention or effort on it on his own platform when he does have a lot of followers and he does have a lot of influence. So I just think he's misusing his responsibility as a creator, I think, on the platform and as an influential figure. Patrick?
Yeah, he just hit 750 subs,
Mhm.
subs. He just hit a new landmark. So his platform, not only was it always huge, it's expanding now. Patrick.
But just out of interest, when you say you believe him, like, what are you basing this on? Like, just with the sort of how he's speaking, or what is it? Like, what about his actions makes you believe that he means it when he says it?
Not actions. I mean, people don't have to, like, I guess it's just me. I just believe people until proven otherwise, isn't it? I mean, a person can be passionate about something or believing in something real hard and doing nothing about it. I mean, we used to be carnists, all of us. I used to be an animal lover, self-proclaimed. I didn't do anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, I don't know. When people speak, I usually believe them. Is that wrong, Patrick?
On social media, you should be a little bit skeptical, right? As we saw with Steak and Butter Gal. Like, she talked with a lot of confidence about studies which don't exist. When we in Logical Consistency did the reaction, she made up a few studies.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. So you are in a different neck of the woods, I think.
Yeah, no, when me and Logical Consistency, we did the reaction to Steak and Butter Gal.
Oh, that person. I'm telling you, I'm still telling you, I think we can find those studies. We just have to look for studies not for carnivore dieting, because that would be silly, because there aren't any. We just need to look for studies on fat or saturated fat or high saturated fat consumption or something like that, you know, something completely, you know, something which you can get not on a carnivore diet.
But yeah, her words were there's a meta-analysis on the carnivore diet in the Lancet journal. So I'm assuming that's in humans.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing I said, that it could be rat studies. So, yeah. But anyways, listen. I don't know. Let's continue.
Everything that I've ever said about factory farming, I stand by, and I think it's still true. And I still think, I know that, I don't know if you still do this, but you like to ask your guests what people aren't talking about but should be talking about. And I still think that factory farming has to be the answer to that question. I mean, you've had some interesting answers to that. You know, people have, I actually really liked Peter Hitchens' answer about cars and how they've come to dominate modern cities. That's fascinating, because, you know, that's something that people don't tend to notice. But something like factory farming generally doesn't even enter into the equation. If you ask people, you know, the moral or political issues that they care about on the street, they'd name 100 before they got to anything involving the plight of animals. And that's because I guess it's, at the moment, at least, seen as a strictly moral issue rather than a political one.
Well, the thing is, I don't know that it is, because I actually think it's a market problem that can be solved with the market. Like, I am as concerned about factory farming, probably not quite as much as you are, but I don't like it. I think it's wrong. And I tried to buy meat that isn't sourced in that way. In the UK, actually quite difficult. In America,
I try to buy meat that isn't sourced in that way.
That isn't sourced. What do you mean sourced? Does it come from a fucking, like, a mountain river? Like,
Off a tree, yeah.
No, but also, like, when Alex says, what does he say? Like, the factory farming is the most pressing issue, and all these things. And you don't talk about it on your channel. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you actually talking about? Yeah.
I guess there is I mean, I guess the reason of why he's not talking about it is glaring, isn't it? It's fucking hypocrisy, isn't it? That's it. He's going to be called out as a hypocrite. So why would he talk about it? He knows this. He knows the future of him talking about this on his channel, because he's been through it. So.
And he said something like 20 seconds ago. Maybe can you go back, because I think I
So hold on.
That's because I guess it's, at the moment, at least, seen as a strictly moral issue rather than a political one.
well, the thing is,
because I can't think of any case where a moral issue isn't also a political issue. Can you think of any?
Especially, spoiler alert, he's gonna say in a second that it should be legislated, right? That the government should intervene and just close factory farms or something like that, right?
But does he think that just happens in a vacuum? Does he think that what vegan activists are doing is not working towards that at all? Does he not know that that's what the animal rights movement is all about? Like, for example,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I don't know how it is in the UK, but for example, in the Netherlands, there is a political party that has existed for almost 20 years. It's called the Party for the Animals. They've been fighting for animal rights in legislature for decades at this point. So it is happening, and they are like, they're not all vegans in the party. They're mostly vegans. And other than that, there's protest, there's direct action, there's all these things that push that push the public's perception on this issue.
Exactly. I mean,
And
nothing is in a vacuum. Nothing ever. Like,
Mhm.
if you have people who are breaking into farms or standing outside the farms with, or outside the slaughterhouses with placards, if that's done correctly, right, and has caught the eye of the media, it's going to catch the eye of politicians, right?
Mhm.
It's just, all of this is working together. If you do something properly that catches the eye of the media, that trickles up into politics always. That's how it's done. And then the people who are wearing the fucking ties can go and say to the politicians, listen, the pressure on this is going up. You should do something about it, probably, right?
Mhm.
And of course, at
Yeah.
first, it's going to have to be some kind of welfare legislation. There is no, I don't think there's a chance where it's going to be vegan legislation when we are just 2% of the world. But I see welfare legislation as a first, like a step toward.
Mhm. Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Patrick.
So I'll add that in the UK, I think there is some sort of animal welfare party, and I was watching a Humane Hancock video on Piers Morgan, and I think actually Piers Morgan voted for them, if the details of the video were correct, and yeah, animal welfare, I think it gets a bad rap, but potentially, as you say, it could sort of be a stepping stone. I don't know. But
Because I think
obviously
animal welfare laws can make animal agriculture commercially non-viable.
Yep.
That's a huge step.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we're going to
So-
be misquoted and labeled welfareists. So be it. That's the
It's all-
reality of the
yeah.
situation. Yeah. I'm sorry,
I think it's
Christina. You unsullied by this. I'm not going to bring you into it. Sorry.
I think it's just
Damn it.
important that important that we sort of try and advocate for getting laws passed, and because there's for example, I think it's just important that we can try and get it legalized and like in sort of the law in some way, and then sort of build it up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't actually ultimately know what will help us transition to a vegan world, but I think laws will be a strong lever.
Yeah, it's not going to be one thing. It's never one thing, is it? It's never. Yeah. Let's go.
I don't know that it is, because I actually think it's a market problem that can be solved with the market. Like, I am as concerned about factory farming, probably not quite as much as you are, but I don't like it. I think it's wrong, and I try to buy meat that isn't sourced in that way. In the UK,
now, actually, I'm going to be controversial, and I will say that this is it is a win of the vegan community, right? The fact that almost all people that you ask, except for maybe Tristan Tate or something, will say that they don't like factory farming. They will say this. They don't act according to it, right? But the perception is there already, which I take as a win, a first step toward it, or however many steps it takes. Somewhere, it's a step. Yeah.
UK actually quite difficult. In America, not that difficult. You can order stuff very, very easily from all sorts of different suppliers. But I think if there was a company,
like, what do you mean? 99% of U.S. farming is CAFOs. I mean, the rest are fucking liars. Like, yeah, you can order grass-fed beef online. It's gonna come from CAFO. It's gonna come from feedlots. So I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, in America, it's very easy. Yeah.
Company in this country that wanted to mass sell grass-fed, organically bred, free-range, whatever meat, there'd be a big demand for it, and people would pay
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
a lot more than they're
Whatever.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's whatever. It's only the thing that I staunchly believe is terrible. So it doesn't matter.
paying in the supermarket for it.
I think that's true of people who are in a position to pay more money.
Yeah.
It's certainly the case that people are moralized into spending more money in a great many areas. It happens all the time with environmentally friendly goods, for example. People are happy to pay more, but if you can't afford, if you don't have the money, if you're struggling to eat any food, let alone quality sourced meat, then of course you're going to buy the cheapest thing in the supermarket. So I understand that position, but I have to
What
say
is the cheapest thing in the supermarket? What is it? I think it's beans. Oh.
Well, no, he's talking about now. I think he's fully convinced that you can't be vegan, right? Based on his own anecdote. I think I believe from what I saw him, how he talks about this stuff now. I believe he now thinks thoroughly that you can't be vegan. So when he says this,
Wait,
you think Alex?
You think Alex thinks no one can be vegan?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I think he's fully convinced of that. I don't have a proof for it. It's it's one of those feelings that come when people speak. You know what I mean. Maybe one day I will be able to prove it. But
because what he said in his actual video about the announcement, basically, he did say that veganism just didn't work for me, but it can work for other people. Like, he did make a point to emphasize that, hey, this is a me problem, basically.
Yeah.
But other people can still be vegan, especially without IBS, for example. Or he did make that concession. But maybe something has changed since he made that video. I couldn't say.
I retract my speculation. But in any case, I think in this case, he is talking about animal products, the cheap animal products, because in a second he's going to say, but, I think we should eliminate those animal products. By proxy, basically saying that only rich people should afford having meat, right? Or animal products as a group. Because that's what I think he meant. I think he meant people who don't have money, who can barely eat, can go and buy cheap meats. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should go back a little bit.
Thing in the supermarket. So I understand that position, but I have to say that I've grown a lot more convinced that the way to solve this problem has to be top-down regulation. I mean, it's all well and good saying we're going to.
He said like seconds ago, basically like a minute ago, that it's not a political thing, it's a moral thing, and now he's suggesting top-down regulation.
No. What he said before that people are talking about veganism right now as if it's only a moral thing, but he thinks it's also a political thing. So basically, he is pro politics in this. Yeah, so that is consistent, at least in this conversation.
Oh, I misunderstood then. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Boycott animal products, and great, awesome. Boycott factory farming. Why not? But with
hold on. Why would we boycott only animal products? Oh, is it because you're a carnist now, Alex? You're trying to reverse engineer your to be consistent. Fuck. Now I'm getting pissed off. All right.
I don't know. Like, veganism can grow, but meat consumption can grow at the same time. Like, it's great. Like, there are less people eating these products and buying these products than otherwise would be. But the industry is still massive, and I don't think it's going to go away just because people are making different purchasing decisions. That has a huge effect, but that can't be the only way to solve this problem, especially because if it's the case that people aren't going to be vegan, right? Because the vegan movement says the problem is just that we don't have enough people on board yet, and one day there's going to be a critical mass, and then suddenly everyone's going to be vegan, and we won't even need to worry about regulation of the animal, farming industry, because it just won't exist anymore. I'm not so optimistic that.
Who says this? which vegan? Point me to one vegan who says it like this.
It's absolutely
What?
fucking nobody ever. This is some kind of a fantasy. He's spent so much time in this community. I think he just spent there alone, never. Well, no, I remember him talking to Humane Hancock and
Earthling Ed,
to Earthling Ed, yeah.
Joey.
So he did exchange ideas with other people. So I don't understand now he's acting as if he doesn't know what veganism is. Or did he ever? I don't know. What's going on? Now
I
I'm
think
feeling,
maybe did he have a concussion or like did he have sudden brain damage? I don't know. Sorry, I'm being like I'm joking, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's a stark contrast. I don't know. Yeah, it's just crazy to me. Especially if you go back to seeing his old speeches and stuff. Like anyone who's watching, I recommend you watch his old speech, like the 2019 one in Tel Aviv or anything on his channel.
Yeah.
Like it's insane how different his outlook is, and he never gave a good reason as to why he changed his mind.
Yeah. Patrick, you have something to add? No.
I just had like, did I understand his point correctly that he was saying that he thinks vegans think that we just want enough people to get a critical mass and then like farming won't exist? Is that what he was saying?
Let me go back.
Great, awesome. You know, boycott factory farming. Why not? But no, like vegan, it's great. Like there are less people eating these products and buying these products than otherwise would be. But the industry is still massive, and I don't think it's going to go away just because people are making different purchasing decisions. That has a huge effect, but that can't be the only way to solve this problem, especially because if it's the case that people aren't going to be vegan, right? Because the vegan movement says the problem is just that we don't have enough people on board yet. And one day there's going to be a critical mass and then suddenly everyone's going to be vegan. And we won't even need to worry about regulation of the animal, farming industry because it just won't exist anymore. I'm not so optimistic that.
So I'll add that there could be people who are like sort of allies and not necessarily vegan, but could still sign a law if it's put in place, if it's on the table. So there is some.
Yeah, there are sorry.
I was going to say to get a law signed, there needs to be some sort of critical mass, right?
Yeah, but also like I think at this point, at least in the West, almost every country has vegan lobbyists, right? And vegan lobbyists, they don't necessarily go in guns blazing saying end farming or the way Alex is talking about it, end factory farming. They go in with small propositions, tenable propositions, right? And that's the political side. But yeah, I think everything was said.
That's the case. However, what that means, or I shouldn't say however, what that means is that we're going to need to solve the problem in another way. And I think that has to be top-down regulation. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think that's...
For Franz, I know you want to jump in, but since we're on this, you top-down regulation, you're going to make meat very, very expensive. That's what's going to happen.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
it's not perhaps. Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean perhaps? How can it be any other way? Does he not know?
There are other ways of top-down regulation, I guess. I mean, you could just, hypothetically, you could just forbid it entirely and not just put sanctions. Is that the word? Sanctions? Like put what's the opposite of subsidies? Like put fees on it.
Taxation.
Yeah, that taxation. That like it like the government could do, like they could just prohibit it entirely rather than going the like financial or economic route like they're describing. So,
but that's not what Alex is talking about, is he? Because he's a carnist now. He's talking about, and he's been talking about factory farms, specifically factory farms. He doesn't mind the small, happy family farms. That's where he supposedly buys his food from now. Unless he goes into a restaurant in France. Yeah.
But Christina, when you say prohibit, do you mean ban, or what did you mean by that word?
Yeah, ban factory farming. That would be like an example of top-down regulation, like hypothetically, like.
So that would need well, it depends, I guess. In Switzerland, people vote for specific initiatives, right? But then, for example, in the UK, it would be the government who decides, right? Like factory farming wouldn't come down to the vote of the people, right? In some countries, such as you just vote for the government and then they decide, right, their initiatives.
Yeah, that
Or-
would go through parliament or something. Like every country has a different system for this. But yeah.
Yes, you are.
There may be ways that we can solve that problem through subsidies, but also maybe the answer is to say, yes, it's going to be more expensive and people are already eating too much in the way of animal products and just need to be eating less. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's when you start getting into sort of, governmental
Yeah, good
tyranny,
luck.
telling
Good
people
luck
telling people what they're
getting
allowed
my
to eat.
support
But
for
I
that.
don't think it's quite the same. You have this image ahead of the government coming in and saying you're not allowed to eat red meat. I think that is different in principle to the government introducing legislations based on moral principles about the treatment of animals and animal cruelty that make it such that some products are more expensive, so people have to eat less. I understand that feels like the government is coming along and saying you're not allowed to eat meat, but that's not what it's doing. It's saying, look, yeah, a lot of the products that we consume
I like to add
would be made a lot more cheap.
Yeah.
From what I'm gathering from what he's saying, it seems like he's sort of saying like a tax based on ethics. So taxing it purely because animals are being factory farmed. So I don't know how that would work.
I don't think he's talking about taxation. I think he's talking about prohibition. Like
I don't
low
need to be
welfare
mentioned
practices
subsidies,
are not allowed. Point. Period. Oh,
I think he is
I don't
talking
know,
about
if we could go back
taxation.
a tiny bit.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
yeah, he said like if we go back a tiny bit, he talked about something like subsidies and moral principles.
Yeah, he talked about subsidies. He says, well, perhaps we can add welfare, but then the price of meat will increase. And then you can subsidize that to bring that price artificially back down, which makes no fucking sense. No fucking sense. Taxation comes from us. We are paying the taxes, aren't we? So it's still going to be fucking expensive, the meat. I don't know.
From what I understood, it seemed like he was saying that animals which are sort of treated like in a specific way, like factory farmed, the products will be more expensive. That's what I understood. I don't know what you think, Christina.
Let's just go back and listen to him again.
But also maybe the answer is to say, yes, it's going to be more expensive and people are already eating too much in the way of animal products and just need to be eating less. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's when you start getting into sort of, governmental
Yeah, good
tyranny,
luck-
telling
good
people
luck getting-
telling people what
getting
they're
my
allowed to eat.
support
But
for
I
that.
don't think it's quite the same. You have this image in your head of the government coming in and saying you're not allowed to eat red meat. I think that is different in principle to the government introducing legislations based on moral principles about the treatment of animals and animal cruelty that make it such that some products are more expensive, so people have to eat less. I understand.
That's what he's talking about.
so
He's
let-
talking about increased welfare.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
But he said like legislations that like it causes a price difference, right?
no, in this specific bit, he said the government should make the moral stance to treat animals well, which will make the price higher, obviously. And I think he's also kind of omitting that, or not omitting. He's saying that people should eat less meat. Therefore, like he's talking about the reduction of amount of animals who are going to be farmed, isn't he? Like
Yeah.
by proxy, if he says people should eat less meat because it's going to be more expensive and because they should eat less meat, so he's talking about basically downsizing, probably not the amount of land, but the amount of animals in the industry. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't know. That's what I hear.
And that feels like the government is coming along and saying you're not allowed to eat meat, but that's not what it's doing. It's saying, look, yeah, a lot of the products that we consume in this country would be made a lot more cheaply if we just got rid of health and safety regulations in our factories, for example. They'd be so much cheaper, right? But the fact that the government is saying, you know, your jacket is going to be more expensive if you buy it from a UK source because the people working in those factories are sort of beholden, or the people organizing the workers are beholden to certain regulatory practices. That's not the government coming in and saying you're not allowed to, you know, wear a nice suit. It may be that the suit is more expensive, and that's kind of the government's fault. But what the government's doing there is prioritizing the well-being of workers over, you know, a cheap suit. And I suppose in this instance, what the government will be doing is prioritizing the well-being of animals over a cheap meal. That is, as long as cheap meals are still available for those who need them. You know,
I'm actually.
What does he mean by that? As long as cheap meals are available. I'm
I feel
again
like
questioning.
I feel like he's like the interviewers were sort of subtly accusing him for being classist in this line of thinking, and he's trying to dispel that in what he's saying right now. So that's why he says that cheap meals should still be available, even if there's no animal products in them.
With that, he's totally undermining his position, because supposedly he doesn't. I don't know. He could mean two things. The way I look at it, he could mean that that poor people should be vegan, and because that's the cheapest meals available, right? The vegan stuff, or completely undermining his position on factory farming and saying poor people should have access to factory farmed meat and other animal products because it's cheaper, because that's what they can afford, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many poor people are there? Like, aren't like shitload of people live like below the poverty line in all countries these days? So he's basically undermining his position against factory farming in the second option. And in the first option, he's just saying, well, poor people, fuck you. You can't afford meat. I can. I'm going to buy the grass-fed, grass-finished stuff, and you can go eat rice and beans, you pieces of shit, or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
Right? So he's either classist or full of shit. That's what I look at it. Is there a third option? Please tell me.
Well, we'll see. We'll let him keep talking.
We'll let him keep digging a hole.
Quite convinced by your argument, purely because the British love animals so much and they care so desperately about their welfare that actually, I think if someone came along to make that argument in a coherent fashion, I actually think a lot of people in this country would be okay with that.
Yeah, well, people in this country love pets. To say that they love animals, I mean, I should be fair. Most people maybe don't quite know what's going on in factory farming, or they do.
I gotta give him a props. That's absolutely one of the fairest things he said so far, and one of the coolest things he said so far. Do you agree, Christina?
Yeah, I agree. No, I feel like in this bit, like this section of the interview about animal welfare issues, he talks like a vegan.
A vegan, yeah. And then he fucks it all up.
It's fucking weird.
Well,
yeah.
Let him. Let the man speak.
But they figure, well, someone's surely doing something about it. You know, it's not exactly their fault. But I mean, for example, the RSPCA. I've always talked about how I think the RSPCA will be looked back upon with sort of probably ridicule, in the sense that you have a Royal Society for the Protection of Animals that's just like totally fine with some of the most abominable practices imaginable. That the pig industry is the worst. I think pigs get the worst of it. If you're a piglet that's too sick to be profitable, if you're not going to make any money, you know, if you're not going to make it into
this sounds like you watched Pignorant.
No, he knew about something before. He talked about something before, I think.
Yeah, but just the way that he's
Yeah.
talking specifically about the RSPCA, specifically about pigs.
Oh, I
That's the
haven't
entire
watched Triggernometry
documentary.
yet, so
It's very good. It's very good.
all right. Yeah, I'll have to get on that one day.
The pig industry is the worst. I think pigs get the worst of it. If you're a piglet that's too sick to be profitable, if you're not going to make any money, if you're not going to make it into adulthood, then you're killed. And the way this is done, colloquially known as thumping, blunt force trauma, they're taken by their hind legs and they're smashed into the concrete in the skull until they die. There was a high welfare farm, I think I know where, but I won't say just in case I get it wrong, that was discovered, a so-called high welfare farm that was discovered to be thumping piglets to death by smashing their...
Hold on. Does he now think that, well, he's questioning... Oh, okay, let me get my thoughts together. So he's talking about a well-known high welfare farm that was discovered to be not so high welfare, or high welfare according to RSPCA. So how can he be so sure of himself that the meat he buys is high welfare?
I don't fucking know. I don't.
Like, what does he lives in the UK? Is there another body other than RSPCA and Red Tractor and all of those very well exposed agencies who accept horrible shit done to animals? Is there any other assurance, like the extra super perfect golden carnist assurance that the animals are belly rubbed and no thumping, no none of that terrible stuff going on? And that's where Alex buys his food.
Honestly, I just want him to make a video like, this is where I get my high welfare meat from, like a how-to,
Yeah.
like a how-to guide. Like, I genuinely have no idea what he thinks he's doing. Yeah, I'm just very, very confused.
All right.
their skulls against the cages that their own mothers were being kept in. Right, this is a horrible practice. Now, thumping as a practice is by the RSPCA as a way of euthanizing these pigs. Now, do you remember when Kurt Zuma, the West Ham footballer, was caught on Snapchat kicking his, I say caught, somebody posted a video of him kicking his cat across the...
I think he actually uploaded it himself.
Yeah, I think he might have done it.
Yeah.
An extraordinary event, but also, it's almost like he was doing a social experiment, because the RSPCA eventually confiscated that cat. The same RSPCA that's fine with taking piglets by the hind legs and smashing their skulls into the concrete because they're not going to make enough money. And if they were going to make enough money, would be killed most likely in a gas chamber, choking on their own breath. But you kick your cat across the kitchen, and not only do you get a media furore, I think even the mayor of London was on Good Morning Britain or something, condemning.
I gotta give him props for real. He wiped the smug smiles off the faces of those two people, and for that, I do appreciate Alex speaking up like this. So I gotta be fair, yeah. He's dropping truth.
And
Well,
the
the mayor of London virtue signaling. No,
Can you believe it?
No.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And the RSPCA took away the cat. The same RSPCA that's totally fine with. I just think that there is, shall we say, an element of cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Because there's no money in it. There's no money being produced by Kurt Zuma kicking his cat, but there is money being produced in gas chambers. So.
Yeah, that's where it ends up being. That's where, and I made several videos on this, the welfare position, that's where it starts and ends, right? The monetary what do you call it? The money that you can get from the animal is always juxtaposed against its welfare. And welfare always loses. Always.
Also,
So,
I love the face that you left him on here.
That wasn't intentional. I apologize, dear sir.
Actually liked it a couple of days later. I think when West Ham played Watford, someone kicked him particularly hard and he fell on the floor screaming, and the entire stadium started singing, "Now you know how your cat feels."
That's quite right. And I wonder how that stadium would feel if they saw any human being in front of them go through what the animals go through, that they they kill to eat their food. You know, it would look like a horror show. But it's funny, isn't it?
Their food, killed to eat their food. Is I don't know what's going on. Alex, animals are killed for you to eat that food, that specific food that animals are killed for. What are you talking about? What's going on here? Christina, can you help out? Patrick, please. No. All right.
Because you know, they were, yeah, the chants were quite funny, but they were also a little bit, I don't know, it's cause for reflection, because if I saw somebody leaving that stadium who got mugged, somebody came up to them and slashed their throat open, watched them bleed out on the concrete so that they could, you know, steal a little bit of their money for some added convenience getting home. And I started chanting at them, you know, now you know how your halal cow feels. I don't think it would be looked upon with such comedic effect.
But that is an experiment I would like to see.
Yeah,
Nonetheless.
absolutely.
Well, people do this all the time. People do these kinds of social experiments where they mimic animal conditions on humans, and they do it in shop windows. And I sort of have a strange relationship with these things. You know, you see people walking into supermarkets and throwing fake blood all over the place, and it's hard to know. I think the question there is whether they're just effective or not. But a lot of people just think they're sort of stupid or immoral or disruptive or whatever. But that this is an accurate representation of what we're doing to animals. And people say, you know, well, like, of course, yeah, no, I'm against animal cruelty. I care about animal welfare. I try to buy, but it's like, I don't think we understand just how unimaginable the suffering is and how unfathomable the numbers are. It's amazing. I mean, we kill millions of fish every minute. Millions.
Oh, every minute.
You kill fish.
Yeah, you kill fish. Unless your fish are immaculate, born unsentient somehow. Yeah. Maybe he's gone the non-sentient animal route. I sure wish he would make some kind of a claim, like, you know, talk about it a little bit, because he made the post, which was incredibly vague. Then he made the video, which still left everything vague, right? He's talking about how hard it was for him to go through this change on his channel, on his person, and oh my God. Dude, the entire fucking community thought you were a good activist, and then you do this crap, and you're not even giving, you know, a coherent explanation, or you know.
And not to mention the environmental effects. I mean, the whole industry just needs a complete shake-up, and that's not the kind of thing that can happen by just people, you know, refusing to buy a particular kind of product. I don't.
Who the fuck is talking about just a boycott? Christina, is it you? Are you talking about just boycott on your channel?
No.
Patrick, is it you?
No.
Fess up. It must be some vegan, and only that vegan that Alex listens to.
That's the only way this is going to happen. It's got to be governmental regulation.
And also, veganism simply isn't sustainable for the vast majority of people. It's going to sound like a hack joke. It's rare I meet a vegan who looks well.
Yeah, you do look a lot better, Alex. I have to say.
You've got flushed cheeks. Your eyes are sparkling.
You're nice and pink. You're going full gammon.
Yep.
That's just because I'm blushing because you're being so nice. I think
Sorry, look at it. He just they're just like, he's just blushing because of the compliments. It's just really funny to me. He's not even defending this idea that all vegans are pale and weak and whatever. Like, I've had people during outreach flirt with me. Like, you know what I mean? It's just super weird and totally an unfounded stereotype as well. And he knows this. He knows the health studies. Like, he's spoken about these things before, and he's still not like disproving it or arguing against it. He's just letting himself be complimented by the carnists who are spreading misinformation.
I'm so fucking sick and tired of this claim.
Yeah.
Look, I can't speak to this. I've seen many vegans who look healthy. I've seen many vegans that look unhealthy. I've seen many non-vegans who look very unhealthy. You know,
Okay, there we go.
it's certainly harder,
Mhm.
and I don't doubt that it's possible to be healthy on a vegan diet if you do it properly. The fact of the matter is that if you don't eat, I won't say
So
perfect.
yeah, I retract my estimation before. Definitely. So he is okay, but he might in a second contradict himself. So let's continue.
I don't doubt that it's possible to be healthy on a vegan diet if you do it properly. The fact of the matter is that if you don't eat, I won't say a perfect, but an optimal diet, then if you're eating animal products, if you're not eating an optimal diet, you're going to have some problems. If you're eating a vegan diet and you're not eating an optimal diet, you're going to have some problems. You're just probably going to have more problems. And so I can understand why that might be the case. I mean, if it were proved, for example,
Well, hold on, it's just because we have society is built as a carnist, right? It's a carnist society. So so we're passing from generation to generation how to eat to get kind of normal, easy diet, right? And veganism is not part of that. So yeah, you need to learn how to have a normal, regular, absolutely like fucking, nutritionally adequate diet. You have to learn, but then you fucking know. So it's not hard anymore. So what the fuck is Alex talking about? I think he's talking because he never actually made the effort. Could it be?
Yeah, I don't know what happened
Well,
there. Like he didn't even talk about going to see a dietitian or any kind of doctor, nutritionist. He just went straight from fully vegan to I'm quitting, which is quite strange when he's surrounded by so many vegans and doctors that are willing to help him. Yeah.
So is it okay if I add something?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to say that he said that if someone's on the suboptimal vegan diet, it will lead to more problems than someone on a suboptimal omnivorous diet. Like, no evidence cited for that claim. And I don't even know what he means by when he says vegan diet, because there's so many different types of diets compatible with veganism. So I have no clue really what he's talking about. And then, I don't know what he means by optimal as well. Like, I don't know what that word is doing there really. But some people, they have this idea of optimal health. I don't know what they mean really. You see, like the carnivore community, they talk about optimal health as well. And generally diet has not the big, like diet is important, but there's other factors as well which are important for health. And plant foods are some of the most health promoting. So yeah, I don't know what evidence he's got for that claim that if someone is on a suboptimal, because now there's so much fortified food as well, so it's kind of difficult. So like even with bone fractures, the people that make this claim that vegans are at risk of bone fractures, it was only in like one study where it was females with extremely low BMI, and they weren't getting. And it was like from the 90s, this study, and had a lot of issues. And then there's recent studies which are like from last month, which looked at women and bone fractures, and it found no risk. I think it was even with an unhealthy plant-based diet, if I remember off the top of my head correctly, they still didn't have a risk of bone fractures. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he seems to have some sort of grasp. Well, he seems to be basing his views on something, but what is he basing that on? I don't know.
Problems. You're just probably going to have more problems. And so I can understand why that might be the case. I mean, if it were proved, for example, if you could show me a study that showed actually, yes, like let's say the majority of people with nutritional deficiencies were vegan. I don't think that's true, but let's say it were true. My answer to that would not be to say that's because veganism is unhealthy, but because being healthy as a vegan is harder than being healthy as a non-vegan. And that's something I've said, since 2019 or whenever.
What evidence again, just where is he getting this claim?
I think it just
Yeah.
means that vegans have to take a supplement.
What?
be?
We only have to take B12.
And then, as we mentioned, there's so much fortified foods that I don't even know if I need to take my supplement because I'm getting B12 in other foods now as
That's
well. And
true. Yeah.
the healthiest foods are plant-based, whole grains, beans, vegetables, fruit. So
Yeah,
Like,
guys,
if someone's
I have
getting
these
enough calories,
multivitamin gummies. All you need.
I gotta get
Take
those.
one. Yeah, these are Dutch,
yeah.
but I take this like. I try not to take too many of these because they're actually like really good gummies. They're really delicious. So sometimes I have to be careful not to like overdose or whatever. I don't think.
Oh,
But they're
think to say
genuinely
good
very good.
niacin or something.
Like, look
be
how
careful.
easy this is. Like, it's just a little thing. There you go. It's
Oh my
that
God,
easy.
Christina! Without that thing, you would be unhealthy.
I would be
so,
dead.
you know,
I would die tomorrow.
Dead. Yeah. So anecdote time, another anecdote. So I actually really I got blood tests about I think a year and a half ago, and my B12 was actually too high because I was taking B12 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin every day, chewing it, and it became too high, right? So I kind of stopped kind of taking B12. Like once every 2 weeks or so. But because I drink soy milk and it's fortified, because I eat, vegan cheese and it's fortified, and all kinds of stuff, right? I don't eat actually that much vegan junk food. But I took a blood test like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. My B12 status was great. It was around 600. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's not even fucking funny anymore.
Yeah, the healthy, the whole foods. As long as you don't need to go for like a completely whole food plant-based diet, but as like he's saying, it's harder to be healthy on a vegan diet. It just sounds like very vague to me. I don't know what he means really exactly because I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to respond to.
I think he means more inconvenient.
Yep. I think he just never took the time. She's like, once you learn, that's it. It's good. It's easy. Just take a multivitamin and eat whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's vegan. That's it.
Well, no, with IBS it is a bit different, but the general principle would apply. I mean, he was vegan for like 3 years. I feel like, I mean, he already had IBS before that. He could have been like already working with a dietitian since the beginning, or asked for help earlier, or you know, there's so many resources available for him. And I mean, obviously we don't know everything about his situation, but to me it feels like he didn't use every avenue he had available for help.
Yeah.
And sometimes IBS can be triggered by things unrelated to food as well, such as stress
and shit, sleep, bad sleep. He was talking about having insomnia, and he was talking about like it's a separate issue, but it's as someone with many sleep disorders who for the past 2 days been sleeping like shit, I can tell you, definitely gut issues when you don't sleep well.
Yeah, and he also mentioned in that video that he just wasn't eating enough calories to begin with.
Yeah.
So, like, none of this can be blamed on a plant-based diet.
Well, he said that. He said that.
Yeah, that as well. But it's just
That's
weird.
the thing. We're again left questioning, what the fuck happened, Alex? What on earth happened? It wasn't the veganism's fault. Your IBS on veganism was the same as usual. What the fuck happened? Why, when you talk about with your bleeding heart about thumping pigs, why the fuck did you go back to paying for that stuff or for similar stuff? If that's what happened, like, we don't even know.
And I also add,
Do you
in terms
think
of the
veganism-
convenience point, which in terms of the convenience point, which Christina mentioned, for me, I find it easier to be like eating animal-free products because I go into the section of the supermarket, everything is there normally in one area, no need to walk about. That's an extra point.
Yeah.
No, but exactly.
Practical.
If I'm trying to imagine him trying to get like the most high welfare animal products possible. You would have to do so much research to actually look into these farms, actually go there and ask the farmer like, hey, what are all the practices that you do or whatever. Like if you would actually do all this research, it would take so much time. It would also be more expensive than just eating vegan products. So it's not even, it seems more inconvenient to me to be what Alex is proposing, or like what he acts like he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah, and if he's back to eating beef, aren't these family-owned tiny farms, whatever, aren't they just selling in bulk? Doesn't he have to buy like quarter of a cow for and store it somewhere or some shit like that? Like, I would call that inconvenient and not environmentally friendly, Alex, since you dragged the environment into this.
Yeah.
If you're
certain
eating out,
instances.
I had a recent example where I was like in a restaurant and then they had no vegan options, and then I had to speak with the chef, and in this situation they just brought me a beetroot, so like a boiled beetroot, and
no.
so like
just a boiled beetroot.
in this situation, yeah. So after, like it was just like a whole one. It was a bit of a strange experience, but I think in these situations, this is where you have a chance to sort of spread awareness.
Yeah. I'm
like
sorry
when you're on the
happened.
airplane or in your restaurant, this is where you have a chance to sort of create awareness.
Were there any spices on the beetroot, or was it just beetroot?
Just beetroot.
Was it peeled, Patrick?
It wasn't peeled.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, I was just eating. I was eating with a knife.
I hope you
fork.
left a 1-star review over there.
It's actually like one of the best restaurants in the city. Yeah.
Not for vegans.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
All right, can we continue?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
When you see it at the way that it manifests within certain sections of society, do you think it's almost akin to a religion?
Well, people say this about all kinds of things. They say it about wokeism. They say it about like anything that becomes a philosophy that people care about. Let's say.
No, but people mean something else too. On all the
Well,
examples
tell
you're
me
giving.
what you mean?
What they mean when people say that wokeness is a religion, or that I've never heard anyone say veganism is a religion. I certainly wouldn't argue that. However, what people mean is that it is a set of beliefs that it causes people to behave in a way that is impractical and irrational, and they do it in the service of an idea that has almost mythical power over them. What I would say is a religion is the doomerism of climate change. There's absolutely, it has every element of religion, including.
The doomerism of climate change is backed up by most climate science right now. If we don't act quicker, the world is going to end, or at least humanity won't be able to live on this planet, like even close to the way that we are now. So how is, like, this is a completely different topic, by the way, so it's not entirely relevant to the discussion, but to me it's so weird to say that. I mean, I don't know. Are these like right-wing is this a right-wing podcast? I don't know what this podcast really is. And are they climate deniers? Climate change deniers?
The guy is religious, the one in the blazer, the color of my shirt.
Uh-huh.
He said that he left the religion of atheism, or he became skeptical of the religion of atheism in the, well, something we haven't aired, but something we did off air. We played the intro, right? So this guy's religious. This guy, don't know. So I don't know what that means. Religious people tend to be more conservative, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
Including people acting irrationally.
I know what you mean, but would you say, for example, that I mean, you've probably had people on the show talking about the threats of artificial intelligence
Yes.
Yes.
and how there's potentially sort of calamitous world-ending
Yes.
implications. Would you call that a religion?
I wouldn't call that a religion because they don't behave in the same way about it. They're not going out and throwing soup on things.
Because we
Did we lose Patrick?
Yeah, Patrick just, I think, left or he got kicked out. I don't know what happened.
Well, I didn't kick him
Oh.
out.
No,
don't
but I
do shit
mean,
like that.
maybe the internet connection did that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think we're
Also-
coming to a close anyways. So
We're close. I mean,
yeah.
Alex's face. Oh,
Just let him play it out. I don't
yeah,
know.
we can
He's
keep
been-
going.
Yeah.
say that, but then I don't think there's like if people start taking seriously the idea that we seriously need to slow down or stop artificial intelligence. Look at the environmental movement where you know people start raising awareness that climate change is a thing.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello.
I lost my connection.
I thought so.
Yeah, your internet is better now, though. So you don't lag anymore. So that was for the best, I guess.
But I ended my stream.
Oh.
Aw.
But my
Well,
mic.
we almost finished anyways when you jumped ship non-voluntarily. Yeah, this is just finishing up when he stops talking about veganism, which is in about a few seconds. So we can just
And
let
then a couple of decades later, people start taking it very seriously and start protesting in the streets. And then the arguments are sort of like, well, look, I get what you're saying. It's probably right, but your methods aren't effective. And, you know, what about China? Why should I care about what we're doing? Right. The same thing can happen here with artificial intelligence. It's already happening when people say, hey, let's just slow down. Let's put a pause on this technology. And people are saying, what, you think that other countries are going to put a pause on this? No, there's nothing we can do. Right. And it's also apocalyptic. You know, the world's going to end. Like all of the elements that you're identifying as potentially religious here based on this, I mean, you call it mythical, but it's always grounded in some kind of reality, right? Like the climate change stuff is grounded in the science. The veganism stuff is grounded in the very real animal cruelty. The artificial intelligence stuff is grounded in the actual technology of AI. But it's still, I could describe it as an apocalyptic death cult. And I could say that the effective altruists are saying that we should stop taking money that we're currently giving to try and, fix malaria and buy malaria nets. We should be taking that money away from that kind of suffering and investing it into AI safety, because that's a more important issue long term. If they're correct, then maybe that is what we should be doing. But it seems ludicrous and irrational to stop giving money to people in need to try and lift people out of poverty.
Well, we haven't had anyone like that on
so
the
that we
show.
can build better computers, but people are doing that, right? And so I could point to people like that and say, see, this AI thing, it's just it's an apocalyptic death cult. And I feel like that's kind of what people do when they point to veganism, wokeism, environmentalism, and say it's a religion.
No, I disagree. And here's why. I think the reason I disagree is people who are warning about AI, the people who are at the forefront of that, the people who are being talked up as the warning necessarily about these issues, they're people who are otherwise sensible and who are advocating fairly sensible things like, this is a new technology, we don't know how powerful it's going to be, let's slow it down, let's make sure that we're not overusing it, let's make sure it's regulated, etc. Right? The people who are advocating on the environmental issue, for example, they're people who are demanding that we essentially suicide our economies.
Who the fuck?
Like there's more environmental activists now like advocating for radical change, which is understandable because they've been advocating for this since like in the last 50 years. It's been a pressing issue for like half a century at this point, at least. And nothing seems to be happening. Like, of course, they're gonna keep pressing for like more and more radical changes. Like the
Well,
AI
supposedly,
people would do the
yeah.
same. AI people would do the same if it were like at least 10 years in the future. Like if it were 2034 and we still hadn't put any regulations in place for AI. Which is weird.
Yeah, I was expecting for him to make a point against veganism, because that sounded where he's going. That
No.
vegans are calling for like abolition and not just regulations, against factory farms, the way Alex would want it to be. So
yeah, no,
maybe-
he did say that he doesn't think veganism is a religion.
Yeah.
I think both Alex and this guy agree that it isn't, but they haven't explained why. I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, the point he was making
mhm.
was going there, right? He said, "It's I don't agree because AI people aren't calling for, he said many words about basically abolition. Anti-AI people aren't calling for abolition of AI. So that's what well, maybe in a second.
In order, by the way, to make very, very little impact on the problem. There's a very big difference between those two things. So it's kind of like people say this about the BBC. People say, well, the BBC, you've got left-wing critics and right-wing critics, therefore the BBC is in the middle. And by the way, some departments are in the middle. But actually, if you look at who the critics are, who say it's too left-wing versus too right-wing, it's a very different picture. The mainstream center-right thinks the BBC is incredibly left-wing. The people who think the BBC is right-wing are people on the very, very extremes of the left. So just because people are criticizing an issue or there's that parallel doesn't mean it's the same thing. And I think AI is...
Okay, I'm done. Sorry, guys. This is pointless. At this point, it has nothing to do with veganism, and this guy is clearly not smart enough to even keep one fucking thought going, which happens to everybody. But, you're fucking host. Sorry.
That's a funny note to end on.
Did I say I didn't sleep for 2 days?
It's totally fine. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
All right.
And any final thoughts? Anybody understand what happened here?
No, I think Alex still weirdly talks like a vegan in many ways still, but not doing anything about it. So this is 20 minutes of lip service is what this was, unfortunately.
Yeah. Patrick, final words?
Yeah, some nutritional claims in there with no evidence provided. So, yeah, I think that can sort of be dismissed.
Yeah. Guys, I don't have any final words because I don't understand what happened here. And I'm saying it truthfully, right? And I'm not exaggerating. He when he said it's a bit of a cognitive dissonance, was he projecting? He projecting? Or what's going on? Alex, what the fuck aren't you vegan anymore?
Like I said, maybe it was brain damage. We don't know. We don't know what happened.
Yeah. I mean, how Alex, I don't know. He should have made at least like a fucking claim, right? Like, Alex.
Explanation.
Yeah, but like, if you're saying no factory farm, say what? Yes. What's the farms that you are eating from? Give us the solution that you found, right? It's happy farms that kill animals, and that's okay with you at this point. Just say that.
Yeah.
We
don't get it. That's the conclusion of this stream, is we don't understand Alex.
All right.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for streaming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming. Please like and subscribe before you leave. Give some love to Christina, to Patrick, to me. I want your love. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.